Okay, so today I'm going to show you how to cut grass correctly with a walk behind or push rotary lawnmower. Now you'll notice that the very first thing that I did was to remove the lawnmower from the shed for a couple of reasons. The shed is dark, it's a confined space, there could be fuel spillages, fumes, there's a possibility of explosion or spark from the fuel, and also in the light you can see whether the machine is in good working order. If you haven't used it yourself the last time, if it was somebody else, they may have put it back with something broken or with a damaged part. So the first thing to do is to have the machine outside and to carry out a visual inspection. Now this doesn't have to take too long. It's essentially a very quick inspection to make sure that all the guards are in place, that it's in good working order. So once you've done that, you want to check that there's fuel in the tank, and if it's not in the tank, you may need to add some more. There's fuel in this one. It appears to be plenty of fuel, so I don't need to fill that up. If I am filling it up with petrol, I will need to do this in a well ventilated area like outside. So if the machine is damaged, what do? Well, you certainly don't just put it back in the shed and say I won't use that. What you need to do is report that to a supervisor and make sure that the machine is put out of commission till it's repaired. The next thing you need to do now is to start the machine and make sure it's actually running before you bring it up to the site you're going to cut the grass at. There's no point in bringing it up and realizing it doesn't start up there. I'm going to fit the grass box now. So this particular machine, the Stiga, I need to prime it by pressing this bladder a couple of times to pump some fuel into the carburetor. It also has two levers. One is a drive, because this is a walk behind lawnmower, it's self-drive, and then the top one here, if I squeeze this is the lever that allows me to start the machine. So the machine is running, it's running perfectly, it's ticking over nicely, so we're going to bring it up to the site now and we'll cut the grass. So I've got the lawnmower and a wheelbarrow. The grass clippings can go into the wheelbarrow. First thing I need to do before I start to cut the grass is to walk the whole site and remove any branches or debris or anything that can be considered something that will damage the lawnmower or be a projectile. Projectile meaning that it could be projected at a person, at a car, at another person working with you, or at a window, or anywhere basically that something can be flung or fired from the machine. So I've got all the branches from the lawn and we're ready to start cutting. Before we do that, we need to talk about PPE, personal protective equipment. The minimum requirement really you'll need for this is to have safety boots, have tight fitting clothing, that's clothes that won't get caught in any of the machines, and also these ear protectors. So what I'm going to start with is running around the outside twice, around the perimeter, all the way around it, twice with the lawnmower, and that will allow me an area of cut grass to turn on. You'll see that when I've done it. And of course I need to set my cutting height. The cutting height, students ask me all the time what height will I cut it at, and I can't tell you that until I've actually been at the grass area. Basically the cutting height on this is not determined by the number or the level before you've cut the grass. It's determined by how much you're taking off the lawn, and you can only know that once you start cutting. Really what we want to take off is no more than 1/3 of the total grass length, so 1/3 off the top. So I've cut around the outside twice. Might be hard to see on this, but I have a strip all the way around the outside. The next thing to do, I suppose, is to check the grass box. And checking the grass box, you want to empty it before it's full, not when it's full. So we'll have a little look. Okay, that's nowhere near even like 1/4 full. So I can keep going for another couple of runs, but as I say, we'll need to empty the grass box long before it's full. Leaving it till it's full, then it's going to start to fill up around the deck. Grass clippings around the deck, and when you stop the machine, the grass clippings will fall on the ground. Now, so the next thing I want to do is cut in straight lines. And the best way for me to cut in a straight line is to pick a point off in the distance, say for example that tree there, and look at that as I start to cut. Don't look at the lawnmower, look at that for my first line. Once I've got my first line done, then I can use that as a template for cutting everything else. And I'll do that this week, and then what I'll do is maybe cut crossways to that next week. So going essentially that way, back and forward, all the way up along. And then the week after that, I can go diagonally to that again, which means that you're always cutting different directions. And that means that the grass gets a good cut every single time. So I've got a relatively straight line there, and as you can see, the area where I've turned the lawnmower to go back, I'm on grass that's already cut. And being on grass that's already cut means that I'm going to get every single piece of the grass. When I start to move down the line again, I'll go onto grass that's uncut. If I didn't have two strips around the outside, there's a chance that I would be turning and catching some of the grass that's uncut, and some of it I wouldn't be catching. So I've cut quite a bit of the grass there now, and two things I need to say is you need to make sure that the left hand wheel is on an area of grass that's already cut. That's the appropriate amount of overlap from the cut piece to the uncut piece. The left wheel's on the cut part. The second thing to do is to check the grass box again. As I said, the only way you're going to know is if you check it regularly, and then you get used to it. Okay, so it's filling up a little bit. I think it's worth emptying it now. And I start cutting again. So you'll see there when I turned this way. So that's turning to the next piece. It sounds obvious, but people sometimes do turn the opposite way, and you line the machine up as efficiently as it possibly can, again with, in this case, the right hand wheels on the area that is already cut. So there you have it, the whole area cut. Two runs around the outside and straight lines up and down. Next week we go that way across. So the next thing to do is to empty the grass box for the last time, get rid of the grass, bring the lawnmower back and clean it and put it in the shed. So today has been a really dry day, thankfully. So the grass is dry and the lawnmower is not very dirty as a result. If it was a wet day, it could be a harder job. What we need to do is to clean off the deck, get rid of all the grass that could dry up, and if you spill fuel on the grass, it could become a fire hazard. So the deck needs to be cleaned, the grass box needs to be reasonably well cleaned and emptied, and underneath on the deck, that's the area where the rotary blade is, that may need some cleaning as well. Now the correct way to do that is to tip the machine backwards. Don't tip it sideways because you'll get the oil running up into the engine from the sump, or you might have a fuel spillage into the carburetor. So you can clean off the deck with a hand brush or a leaf blower or an airline. So that wasn't a hard job. As I say, it was quite dry today, so not a lot of grass sticking to the deck. The next thing to do is to put it away in the shed neatly and tidily for the next person to use. I don't think I need to show you that. So that's the end of that. Thank you. Thanks for listening. Bye.